I'm Robert with Knowmium, and welcome back to our hybrid live video series. This is video number 6. In videos 6, 7, and 8, we're going to cover facilitating hybrid activities in our live hybrid workshops. In this video, I'd like to share a story with you that's about giving instructions. My goal with sharing this story is to help you understand the complexities of giving different sets of instructions. There's also considerations we need when we're designing these instructions and testing these instructions. The story I'm going to share comes from a presentation program. In presentation programs, we often cover strategies that we can use in our speeches. Then our participants practice those strategies in small groups. They give feedback to each other, and they get feedback about themselves. So here's what happens in my hybrid environment. First, I address all the participants at once. I give them the activity overview. I let them know you're going to be in a small group. Face-to-face people will be with other face-to-face people, and virtual people will be with other virtual people. Everyone's going to deliver a 3-minute speech. After the 3-minute speech, you are going to get feedback for 1 minute about what you did well and maybe what you could improve as you continue building your skills. Now, keep in mind, when I'm addressing all the participants, sometimes I'm looking at the webcam. Sometimes I'm monitoring the virtual participants' reactions by looking down at my monitor. Maybe there's a chat box, maybe there's emojis, maybe I just need to see their facial reactions. At the same time, during this overview, I'm looking to the left, I'm looking to the right, I'm looking up, I'm looking down in the front and the back of the room. I'm trying to treat everyone equally as much as possible. Sure, sometimes I might focus more on the webcam or more on the physical participants, but ultimately I'm giving somewhat equal attention. Then I ask the participants, does anybody have any questions? Of course, I have to look around at the physical participants and I have to look at my monitor, or maybe I have a producer, but in this case, I'm doing everything on my own. I noticed that there is a question from a face-to-face participant. They asked me a pretty simple question: do we need to use a business topic for this practice speech? Now, before I give that answer, I need to be aware that if they're in the back of the room, if they didn't have a dedicated microphone or they didn't hit unmute, some of the virtual participants may not have heard that question. So I need to repeat or even rephrase that question into the facilitator's microphone. All the virtual participants can hear, and of course the face-to-face participants can have some clarification. I address that question, I give the answer, and then I continue looking around the room and at the virtual platform for chat, for hands, for emojis, facial reactions. Then I prompt all the participants. I let everyone know I'm about to address the virtual participants first. Face-to-face participants, just hold on for a couple of minutes and I'll be with you soon. The reason I like to go to the face-to-face participants second is that the virtual participants might need more time to get into their breakout rooms, and virtual activities and virtual communication often takes a little bit longer. So if they have a couple more minutes, that sometimes helps. Now, this is when I could ignore those physical participants and focus purely on the virtual platform. I give them their breakout groups, whether those are assigned randomly or I'm putting specific people together. I give them their specific timings. Yes, you'll have 3 minutes each to deliver a speech with 1 minute of feedback. If there are 3 people in a group, that's about 12 minutes total. However, I might give them 15 minutes just for transition time and flex time. I also ask them, do you have any final questions? Then, once I send them into those breakout rooms, I can return my attention to the face-to-face participants. Once again, I give them a similar set of instructions. I let them know who their teams are, whether they can randomly choose themselves, or maybe I'm assigning people. I also let them know the areas they can use. Do they need to stay in the same room? Do I have 4 corners of the room with 4 different groups? Or am I allowing groups to leave the room to go into different offices, different annexes, lobbies, hallways, whatever we have available? I also give them their specific timings. The timings are similar, 3 minutes to speak, 1 minute for feedback, but if they're leaving the room to go to other areas, do I need to account for that? I may need to give a specific end time to the virtual group with the same specific end time to the physical group, where the physical groups might even have less time, but their communication is usually faster because they don't necessarily need technology. Once again, I ask them for any questions. If I do get a question and I need to spend a few minutes addressing that, this could mean I need to update the virtual participant groups that they have an extra 5 minutes because we got to later start with the face-to-face group. Does this sound complex? Yes, and that's why I'm sharing this story. It's a simple activity, but so many things can delay our time. There's technology considerations. After those face-to-face groups, go into their breakout groups. I then check on the virtual platform. Maybe I need to check if I'm being called to a certain room. Maybe I need to jump into some breakout rooms to make sure that people are actually participating and not leaving on an earlier break. I can then look around the physical room and check in on my physical participants, but ultimately, as a facilitator, I might need to take a break. I might need to sit down, catch my breath. I might need to review the next activity. Maybe there's a planned break coming up and I'm just starting mine a little bit early. Or maybe I need to continue monitoring the virtual platform for questions that could arise for people who finished early, or maybe there's face-to-face groups that come back and I need to give them something to do or at least have a conversation with them. There are so many complexities when we have more technology. Imagine everyone needed to use an app. What if the app was different between the face-to-face groups and the app was different for the virtual groups, or we're just using the same app differently? There are so many things that we need to check and we need to test, because remember, if something goes wrong, it probably will be technology. Knowing that your instructions, your activities, and your tech solutions are lined up correctly will allow you to have more time to do something that is important as a hybrid facilitator. Sit back, take a break, get some coffee, and recharge for the next module.